Hello, welcome to our first Happs Broadcaster Roundtable. I am your host, head of community here at Happs, Peter Bittner, and happy Wednesday, everyone. It's very exciting to have you all with us. We'll let folks roll in here as we get going. We're at a little bit of a different time from our normal community Q&A, and we're mixing it up a bit with, some cool original programming with some of our community leaders here and all-stars. I'm really excited about today's first broadcaster roundtable. We're going to get underway in just a few seconds here. First, I'll just welcome everyone into the room here. Awesome. Yassine, thanks for coming. Lynn, fantastic. Penguin 6, excellent. So we have right now 3 amazing guests who are longtime all-stars in the broadcast universe. 3 big names from Periscope who've come over to Happs and are giving our platform a try. It's been super fun to have them with us in our community. Let's welcome, first of all, Chantal of ChantalTV. Thank you for being here, Chantal. Good evening your time, or good night.
Yeah, it's nearly good night. It's 20 to 12. Thank you so much, Peter, for organizing this. I'm so happy to be here on the 20th of January.
Indeed, and we also have with us Louise Poppy from New Zealand.
Kia ora, everybody. Thank you. This is fantastic. Yes, kia ora, and welcome to not only New Zealand but Happs TV. And thanks, Peter. And lovely to see everybody.
Fantastic. And next up, but rounding out our panel, is Penguin 6 Andrew Leyden from DC. Thanks for joining us, Andrew.
Hey, Peter. Thanks for having me on. It's been a cold day here in Washington, but now I'm finally indoors.
That's good. That's good. So we have 3 different distinct continents represented here. Obviously, 3 very experienced travel broadcasters. So first of all, just very grateful for all of your time today and joining us. This is going to be a fun one. We're getting things started here, and we'll have some Q&A at the end for all of those in the audience, just so you know. Thanks for joining us. I see you, Blaine, Andrew, so many other broadcasters and viewers already tuning in. Thank you to everyone watching. This is going to be a fun departure from our normal community Q&A. We have with us 3 experts in the travel broadcasting genre, and we're going to be learning a little bit about how they got started, some tips, some suggestions, and I'm really excited to hear more from each of you about your stories.
Oh, really? Yeah. What is that?
Wonderful. So first of all, I guess we can go in order. I have a few questions prepared here that I hope will be exciting and stimulating for folks. First of all, I'm just curious, how did you get started live streaming, and what led you each into, sharing a little corner of the world with your audiences? So Chantal, let's start with you. Obviously in Paris right now, up late for this. Thank you so much. I know it's nearly midnight there, but really great to have you with us, Chantal.
Thank you so much. I see everybody joining in here in the comments. Hello, hello. Hello, Andrew. Hello, Louise, of course. Well, how did I start broadcasting? It started nearly 6 years ago, because that's when Periscope started. And I saw a little thing on TV that you could live stream, and I was like, wow, that is super, super interesting. So I picked up my phone, but I didn't have an iPhone. I only had, it's like with Happs where iPhones were better. I only had an iPad. So I started to film out of my window. And everybody was like, wow, amazing. You live in Paris and look at that view. And I was like, oh, I never looked at that view like that. So that's how I started to live stream. That's how it all started. And that's how I became ChantalTV on the balcony.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, well, taking advantage of that view and sharing it with others is a really interesting way to get started. And do you remember your first broadcast? How did that develop? How did you first get started?
Well, I had that iPad, so I had to be in the reach of my Wi-Fi on the balcony. And I remember, I think the very first broadcast, I had 11 people watching, and I was over the moon. I was like, wow, 11 people from, I don't know even know where they were from, but they were watching, and I was like, then you're hooked. Then you're hooked to keep on broadcasting. So yeah, that's how it started. And then like 2 weeks later, I think I got my own iPhone. I think it was a 6 that I got, or 6 Plus, so the really big one with only 16 gigabytes. But it was fantastic, and that's how I started to go around in Paris and show people in the morning, at lunch, and in the evening. So like outside of work hours, I started to show the city.
That's wonderful. Very cool. I'm going to pass the same question along to Louise Poppy, and let's get her up on screen. I'd love to hear about how please join us here. Can you hear us okay, Louise?
I can. I'm actually live, and it's just started to rain.
Oh no. Okay.
I'm outside, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm under a nice big umbrella at the moment. I'll move if I need to. I'll just go maybe move this way a little bit.
Sure.
So this is live streaming for you, isn't it?
This is live. Yes, this is live broadcasting. Indeed, can't control the weather here.
Yeah.
So
it's okay. So I might move inside after I finish chatting. My very first broadcast, was in Auckland. Chantal, I beat you. I had 54 viewers, but I didn't even know that I needed to put a title. So I just pressed the go live button. I think it said broadcast in those days. I just pressed the broadcast button, and 54 people came on. So that was amazing. But I started a little bit after you guys, because I had downloaded the app when I was in Japan, and I think that was around July 2015. And my son had suggested to me that he thought I'd enjoy it. Little did he know how addictive it was.
Enjoyed it a little too much.
And I came back to New Zealand, and eventually after that first broadcast, I thought about how I can make it work for my work as a tour guide, and I decided if I did one broadcast a day, I would always have something live for people to look at, and I've stuck to that ever since. So I've gone live most days. I mean, there could be a couple of days when I haven't quite managed it, but yeah, it is extremely addictive.
It's phenomenal. Wow, really cool. So got started in Japan. That's really interesting. Andrew, let's get you up here on screen as well, and would love to hear about how you fell into the broadcasting world and got started.
Well, I was living in Hong Kong at the time, and every day I'd go out for a hike as a way to lose weight. And after years of podcasts and radio, suddenly this new app called Periscope came out. And I said, well, let's try this. I can't remember how many people I started with on the first broadcast, but I ended with about 300-400. And what had happened was, as soon as I had gone live the first day of Periscope, someone in Periscope headquarters said, oh my God, we've got a guy in Hong Kong who's using it. And they made me the featured broadcaster of the day. So by the end of the day, I was up to about 12,000 followers. And it's been pretty crazy ever since.
Wow, that's amazing. And how long did you live in Hong Kong? I know you're back in DC now.
Yeah, we're back in DC about the last year and a half, 2 years. We were over in Hong Kong for about 9 years.
That's a long
Still
time.
in the reverse culture shock phase.
Sure, I'd imagine. Well, this is really interesting to have folks from every corner of the world almost represented here. I'm very excited to move on to a few more questions, and then we will be doing some questions from the audience too. So please save those for now in the comments until towards the end. Again, if you're just joining us here, welcome to our first Happs Roundtable discussion today. We have with us ChantalTV, Louise Poppy, and Penguin 6, or Andrew Leyden from DC here, who are all really big name live broadcasters, started on Periscope in the early days, have amassed some really amazing followings, and just shared so many memories, both on Periscope and here on Happs now too, with their audiences from these really cool, unique experiences that you really can't get anywhere else. So I want to move along to the next question here, and we can go kind of one by one for now a little bit. And I'm just curious if each of you has a rough estimate of how many broadcasts you've done. Louise, I know you said almost every day. So maybe we'll start with you. But, of those broadcasts too, which have been some of the most memorable? If you have one that stands out as particularly outstanding or exciting, just curious.
Well, for me, every broadcast special because it's the viewers, it's the people that are watching that actually make it make the experience fabulous for me and for everybody else that's watching. And I get totally immersed in what I'm doing, so very easy to get run over or fall off an edge of something.
Okay.
But I think one of my favourite broadcasts that I didn't have very many viewers for, which was disappointing, was in Japan, and it was the origami master actually making origami flowers for us. And I had a special appointment with him and with his paper, and he was like 85 years old and making these beautiful roses and flowers. And I really, really loved that broadcast because I love creating other people creating things, and I love art. So that was really, really a beautiful broadcast. But as I said, not so many viewers, but a great experience for those that was watching. Yeah. So, thanks, JP. 2,000 available on Periscope. Yeah, I've done a lot. I mean, in Korea, I loved it when I was out walking around and Korean people getting involved with me. So, I don't have a favourite, but I've got lots and lots of really, really good memories, and we're going to keep it going because, Periscope. It's good to have change. I think we can extend ourselves a lot further, and it's good to have challenges and extend ourselves. So, so hello to everybody. I can see you all. I get excited. Yeah. Thank you.
Wonderful. Chantal, how about yourself? Do you have any idea, do you have a rough estimate of how many broadcasts you've done? And if one stands out to you as particularly memorable, that's maybe a underappreciated or undiscovered gem?
Well, I think for me, I mean, I've been daily broadcasting as well, so it's thousands and thousands of broadcasts. So I mean, if I only look back on YouTube to see, like, there's already, like, I think from the first year, like 500 or more broadcasts. So if you are going for 6 years, yeah, must be over 3,000 broadcasts. But what stood out? I think one of the most memorable ones, and also because that was kind of for me like a point here in Paris where a lot of things changed, was I broadcasted when the attacks started to happen here in Paris on the 13th of November. And I was one of the first ones to break that news, and I just never forget that. It's not a memorable one to look back, but it's kind of a historical point in my broadcast, and I'm still very emotional about it. And then the next day to do the walk where it all happened, before CNN, before BBC. Yeah, that was for me a very impactful time to broadcast.
Wow. Yeah, truly covering some important global events too, and
Yeah.
beating other types of media to the punch, so to speak, in that
Exactly.
coverage. Wow. Really amazing. Andrew, tell me about yourself in terms of, your daily hikes and such. What do you estimate you're at in terms of number of broadcasts? What really stands out to you looking back?
I have absolutely, it's up with Chantal. It's in the thousands, literally the thousands. One time at one point a couple of years ago, I was over 1,000. So it just keeps going. As for memorable ones, there were quite a few. Most people have mentioned the New Zealand fish and chip shop in Hong Kong, where I would frequently get some chippies, and noodle shops where I'd go and get noodles in 17 seconds sometimes. And then there was another time we walked through a street market and we actually told people watching, if you want it, we'll buy it and we'll send it to you. And we eBayed about $1,000 worth of stuff from a street market in Hong Kong. People were going crazy for that. But I guess the most memorable one, and that's someone in the comments that just mentioned it, was the time some wild pigs got loose in downtown Hong Kong. And I spent about 4 hours with the police department following these wild pigs until they could get a tranquilizer dart in them. That was a pretty crazy event.
That's wild. Yeah, you can't plan on that. I mean, you just got, eventually those things, those moments, that spontaneity you'll capture with that, regular kind of disciplined routine approach to this. That's pretty cool. I'm wondering, each of you, what really drives you to continue broadcasting? What do you enjoy most about it? And what keeps you going? Chantal, maybe we can start with you.
The interaction with the community is what keeps me going every day to come back to say hello, because we all grew very tight, so we know a lot about each other, and to check in every day how everybody's doing, how everybody's feeling. And for sure, at this stage, um, where there's a curfew, where there's a lot of people like locked down, it's very good to talk to each other every day. So that's why I'm doing it. I'm back every day just to check in with everybody because I care and they care about me. And I think that is just wonderful about live streaming, about building this community and being all together here. And Happs is fantastic for it.
That's great. Right now on screen, Chantal, we're
I see
showing
myself
your
here on the rooftop.
broadcast. Yes, from
I see myself here on the rooftop, which is
right.
nice because it's the Galerie Lafayette. I will just tell you where it is. It's the Galerie Lafayette, and we have the Opera Garnier in the background, and you see actually the little lights is from the school where the little rats are dancing, because you hear the little feet stepping there. So that is where. Um, yeah, that's where they dance. But this is actually the rooftop of a department store with the most incredible view of Paris. And guys, it's for free. You can just walk up, you can film whatever you like, take your coffee. I always smuggle the coffee in because they are not selling coffees inside. And yeah, so it's there you see the Eiffel Tower. Woohoo!
Yeah.
With an amazing sunset. Yeah, it's
Certainly looks
my
like.
favorite location in Paris. Absolutely my favorite location.
And I love
Oh,
that you're taking us to, these kind of hidden gems too through a lot of your broadcasts, each of you. But this is kind of a mishmash, a little bit of clips here pulled together from that one. But the Eiffel Tower at sunset from that view is just to die for. Really marvelous. Highly recommend everyone check that out. And we'll be happy to share the link to that later on in the comments here too. But Louise, let's switch to you. Tell me about, what do you enjoy most about broadcasting? What keeps you getting up every day and pressing that go live button?
Well, like Chantal, of course, it is the community, it's the interaction, it's the amazing friends that I've met here. And, I've met a lot of people. So I've been able to travel and meet these people, and I really feel like we're part of whānau, family. And, we're all very very friendly with each other and encouraging. So I love to meet my friends here every day, but also what drives me to broadcast is I am a tour guide, and I feel also for me, if I don't go out and do something, I might lose my mojo. So I've got to keep motivated, I've got to keep inspired, and I want to pass that on to the people that are watching me as well. So I want to pull you in and be part of what I'm doing. So yep, that's it. It's the people. Yeah.
That's
The people.
amazing.
Yeah.
We're sharing on screen right now, in case you can't see because you're on mobile, a clip from your tour of the Auckland Fish Market, the Wild About Wild signs up there. There's a few clips actually of the fish themselves that'll come up here in a few seconds. You'll be walking us through, but tell us about the ways in which you really use your tour guide skills to unveil a lot of these sites to the world remotely, especially nowadays, right? Where tourism industry, I'm sure, is a bit under threat there. Well, thankfully, when I watch your broadcast, it gives me hope because it seems like things are really under control there too. But we're
A
still
lot
in
of
this flip.
yeah, a lot of domestic tourism, of course, and virtual tourism now too. Everybody's sort of like getting into that. But Also, I like to keep my contacts. I like to keep up with people. So usually I'm broadcasting in places where people know me or we can get a little bit involved with them. If I'm in a place that's unfamiliar to me, I'll always say, this, I haven't been here before, so let's see what's going to happen. But other than that, it can be quite familiar, and I want everybody to feel as if they are there with me. Yeah, so it's the fish market's actually quite good because the fish is changing every day, and we can get, sometimes we do, we get lunch there or we do something. So there's always a lot of involvement.
That's wonderful. Yeah, it was a really fun one. You obviously have something every day. I always look forward to tuning in. It does feel like we're there. I think that's something that each of you is able to really do and create that feeling of really being there with you. Andrew, tell me a little bit about, what keeps you going here. You're experiencing a little bit of reverse culture shock probably back in DC now instead of Hong Kong, but how are things going in general, and what keeps you motivated?
It's just fun to connect with people and see the world through other eyes. When you have kids, for example, they say you learn everything over again because you see things for the first time as your children see them, and you learn them. So when I walk past something famous, be it the White House or the Star Ferry in Hong Kong, there are people there watching who are seeing it for the very first time. And I get to see their impressions of what they see. And it's just kind of rewarding to learn everything new all over again.
That's great. Yeah, right now we're showing some footage of the National Cathedral from your broadcast recently last week with that beautiful lighting. And I think, you have so many things in your neighborhood, literally, right? And around, in DC, near the National Mall and whatnot, that most folks have never been to before. But hopefully you won't have to deal with any wild pigs there.
There's other wild stuff here.
Indeed, indeed. But that's a topic for another broadcast. We'll move along and stick with travel for today. But obviously, I'm sure there's a lot going on in DC today with the inauguration and whatnot. Were you able to catch any of that? You mentioned you were out and about a bit.
Yeah, I was out a little bit earlier today, and I think I saw Biden. Sorry, my rice cooker is going off. That's a leftover from Hong Kong. But the city is extraordinarily locked down. There are literally miles of fences and police and National Guard everywhere. It's actually rather inconvenient to go for a walk right now, and it's cold. I've been living in the tropics for 10 years. I'm done with this cold stuff.
Yeah, boy, middle of winter there certainly seems like the wind was whipping from what I saw on TV earlier. Let me ask you this. We had a great question, and this was actually on my list too, but what tips would you give to new broadcasters who are just starting off and are really interested in sharing their corner of the world with audiences through broadcasting here on Happs, for example? What advice would you give to yourself, maybe if you were first getting started, looking back? Maybe we'll start with Andrew. Yes.
I think I would take a look at what other Happs users are doing, and then try to do something a little bit different. When I got involved, one of my issues was I would turn on these broadcasts from London or from Tokyo or from Frankfurt or Africa, and all I saw was a person's head. I was like, no, turn the camera to the side. Turn that building there, that car. I want to see something. There are plenty of unique and amazing things, even in the smallest town you live in. There's always something of history. There's always something with a funny story. And share that little bit of your uniqueness, and you'll start to attract a following.
Great advice. Louise, what would you say to that? What tips do you have for broadcasters just getting started?
I think just press that go live button. It doesn't matter what happens, but the most important thing is keep your eye on the comments. Reply to every comment. Somehow you can, and you will pull that viewer into what you're doing. You can talk with them, you can have a conversation, other people are listening. It's getting people to almost step through your phone and walk with you. But just be brave. But I'm a little bit like Andrew. I don't, just seeing people's faces turns me off. I'm a tour guide. I want to see what's behind them. So yeah, just press that button, be brave, don't care, don't worry, and just make sure that you reply to every comment.
Well said. Great advice. And how about you, Chantal? What would you say?
I would say for sure what Louise said, like push that button, but also you don't have to be stressed to be live because we don't have to see you. You can just show a postcard, a nice view around you. And as Louise said, keep your eyes on the comments, but just try and make mistakes and try again and try again. And then maybe 3,000 broadcasts later, uh, you are at this point and still trying. So you learn every broadcast. You learn what works, what doesn't work. You have successful broadcasts, not successful broadcasts, because it's not always how you are doing it. It can be the connection. Make sure you always have a good connection, and if it doesn't work, move over somewhere else. And don't stress about being on camera. You don't have to be on camera. You can really try. Act like you're talking to your mom on the phone. That's always what I say. Like, basically, I always treat the phone like if it would be a FaceTime with, or a Skype or a WhatsApp with friends, and you talk and you respond, and that's how it works. And you learn, and you learn, and you learn. And 3,000 broadcasts later, we sit here and we talk about it.
That's lovely. Yeah, well
Yeah,
said.
Peter, something about that. People used to ask me, what are people watching on your scope? And I would say, oh, well, they saw me go on the Star Ferry to a toy shop. They saw me ride a tram to have lunch. And they saw me climb a mountain with my kids. And they'd be like, well, yeah, there's the beautiful skyline and there's the ferry. I said, well, you don't really understand. They're just watching a guy go to lunch, go to a toy store, and be with his kids. Because in the end, that's what all of us are doing. Chantel's going out for a walk. Louise is going out for a walk and showing that it's just our normal life. We just happen to do it in different places around the world. And you'll start to see with live broadcasting, that's what people come back for, is they come back because you make a connection. You're doing the same thing that they're doing, just in a different place.
Well said. Yeah, it's that universal connection that you're emphasizing there. That's really good to remember, right? Is that people are there for connecting with the everyday and also with the personalities that you each have too. I'm curious. I have another question or two, and then we'll open it up to the audience here. How do you work in storytelling visually, or do you have routines in your broadcasts? How do you structure a live broadcast so that it feels like a complete experience, which is different from an edited documentary or a YouTube video? I mean, how do you bring kind of a full arc and to the experience, so to speak? Yeah, this is something that Chantal suggested, and I think it's a great question. I might throw it to you first, Chantal, since I know you have a thought or two on this.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, like, first of all, I don't like editing. So editing is a nightmare for me. I struggle, and it's terrible. I know how to tell the story, but it's just too much work. But what I really do with live streaming, before I start, I know the beginning and I know the end. So I know where I start and I know where I end. What happens in between doesn't matter. As long as I know how to end my story or my broadcast, and as long as I know that, I can be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours. Well, I don't do 2 hours, but that's how I broadcast. That's how my story goes. So have a beginning and know your end, and eventually you will get there.
Well said. Well said. Andrew, do you have any, signature ways of greeting or signing off, or things that bookend and create a nice flow to your broadcast that would be something people can replicate?
I most of my broadcasts are based on my hikes, and they have a start and an end, usually the same place. I do try to bookend and start them with a really good image, because that's the image the replay viewer is going to see, neither the first or the last shot that you take. So when I try to wind up somewhere that it's kind of interesting, so that that's the image that'll be maintained as other people are going in. But as for stories, everything has a story. Sometimes something reminds me of a story while I'm walking. Some of my regular users, I think they know all my stories by now. I'm gonna have to start making up some new ones soon.
There you go. Interesting. Louise, how about yourself? What would you offer in terms of tips on the storytelling aspect?
Yeah, well, I'm a little bit the same as the others. You need a plan. So you do have a beginning and an end, and the content in the middle is really important. So you're welcoming and you're farewelling, but then you've got all that content in the middle. As far as stories go, I usually wait until I see something. I don't have a story planned. I wait until I see something. So I might end up telling a little Maori legend about New Zealand, or reading something from somewhere, or because I like to pull a little bit of history and a little bit of culture in, because, hey, we're right down here in the South Pacific, the bottom of the world. I've got to get out to you somehow, or get you here. So it is content. It is content. And like Andrew said, it's really nice to finish with an image, and that's the one that sticks. But I'd just like to say one thing I'm enjoying about Happs is not seeing how many viewers there are, because the pressure is off. I have no idea whether I only know the people that are commenting. I could have 5 or I could have 500, and it's really great. So I'm not preoccupied with numbers, I'm just doing a broadcast. So I think that's the same for everybody. Don't worry about the numbers.
Right. That's so interesting. I think that's a really good point. Yeah, it's something folks may have different opinions on, right? As we're iterating here, and obviously we're still in beta here at Happs. We're moving as fast as we can. But this leads into kind of one of my next questions is, what gets you excited about Happs, the community in particular, and kind of the direction here? A new start. What are things that each of you is looking forward to, right? We're very grateful to have so many folks coming over from Periscope in the last month or so in particular, and are very welcoming of that community here. But I'm wondering, what excites you about Happs, and some of the chance to start and pivot potentially. Maybe I'll start with Chantal.
I was looking at Louise. you didn't get to say. I was looking at Louise.
I can see you both looking at each other, actually, on the top.
Anyway, yeah. What do I enjoy about Happs? It's, first of all, it is a very good platform to get the community together, because for the first time I can actually read comments in the replay. So people can still comment in the replay, which is fantastic, because when people miss it, I can still go back, I get the notification, and I can read it. But what is the biggest win for me on Happs is a technical aspect, because I would always go around with 2 phones. And as you guys maybe know, last week one got pickpocketed and I ninja'd it back. But I can do everything from one phone. So I can read the comments from all the platforms, I can multi-broadcast, I can pull people in, and this is what I think was, when I found Happs, this was something that was so attractive to me, that I finally could do everything on one phone. That was wow, this is something nobody really has. And then of course the monetization part of it. I was yeah. So I was Happs is going to be it. Happs is the place. So that's why I'm on the Happs.
That's cool. That's interesting to hear that perspective. I'm glad you got your phone back, by the way. That was pretty dramatic, and I think something that was one of the more unusual parts of broadcasts I've come across in a long time. But thankfully, you were able to recover that safely.
Yeah, I was like, I kept talking because it happened. If you haven't seen it, it happened live on Happs. I got rolled, so the phone got pickpocketed out of my pocket, and I felt it, and I was like, okay, don't do anything, just keep on talking to everybody like nothing happened. And I just ninja'd my way back, and I just grabbed the phone out of his hands because I came from the back. Just on good luck, it was my phone, and it was my phone. So thank God it was my phone. So I got it back. Anyway, but then we move on.
Oh my gosh. Well, Louise, I'm wondering, what excites you about a fresh start at Happs? Obviously, change is hard. It can be, certainly. I think it also comes with opportunities, though. I'd be curious to hear your perspective on that.
Well, I think change is a good thing, but I also, as far as Happs goes, I'm finding it very professional. And hey, I always wanted to be a journalist, so this is my big chance. But it is very professional. When I first started on Happs, I did like a minute or 2 minutes, and I did some pre-recorded broadcasts and uploaded those because I wasn't sure if I had the right content, and I sort of like waited, hesitated a little bit, and that was probably back in maybe October. And I showed the Parliament in Wellington, the Beehive, and different things. I was sort of like feeling my way around it, and then I started to. Pablo contacted me and said, we need you to do something a little bit longer, and we want more community. And I thought, okay, that's good. I'm really being encouraged here to broadcast. So that's when I started. So there are a few of us that were on Happs from Periscope quite early on in the piece. So it's changed a lot.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Looks like a little bit of a connection issue, perhaps. Hopefully that's not the rain shutting down her phone there. Oh my gosh.
She's gone forever.
Hopefully we get her back on soon. Andrew, I guess I'll pass the baton over to you for now and see if you have any thoughts on that.
Well, I can echo Chantal's comments about the technical abilities of Happs and the ability to share your content without needing 4 or 5 different devices. I mean, it was literally the point that some of us were buying special clothes just to do live streaming so we could hold all the batteries in other phones.
Wow.
But I think what might be most interesting to some of the people that are watching right now is what Happs offers a new broadcaster. And I'll tell you, that's a community of like-minded, more compassionate and empathetic people than you're going to get on Twitter or YouTube. I can just tell you a story that one of my videos went viral on YouTube this week. I have 800 comments, and I am not about to read a single one of them because they're all about what happened in Washington this week. I don't even want to go there. My Twitter is at times toxic, I guess is the best word. But so far with Happs, because of the moderation and the stuff like that, we have a nice platform to build a brand, to build a community, which is what we all want to do, and broadcast without fear of the chaos.
Well said.
Yeah, that's good.
Well said. I hope we get Louise back here soon. I would love to open up some audience questions here. So if you are here watching and you have a burning question to ask our panelists here today on the roundtable, please do type that in now, and we'll select a few here and ask them. So don't hesitate there. I think, Pablo, I know you're in the background here, but maybe you can ping Luis and see what happened there. Pablo is directing and producing here behind the scenes, everyone. Let's give him some props for helping. But I don't know if Chantal, go ahead. You have something to say. I feel like a teacher, like when I
can I interrupt? Like we're in the Zoom.
Yeah.
No, what I also think what is very strong about Happs is that as a relatively new broadcaster, you can also monetize your content straight away, which is very rare on many platforms. You need at least a thousand subscribers on YouTube. You need on Periscope, you need it to be a super broadcaster with all these crazy rules. So I think that is quite amazing that you're very, like, with the rewards, you can already monetize your broadcast, which I think is wonderful, because small creators should be encouraged to monetize their their content, because for years we couldn't do that. And it's just it's a great option. Happs, thank you, wonderful.
That's
You know,
great.
Peter, one other thing I could add too, and this comes from the perspective, I worked very closely with Periscope. I was probably one of the first Periscopers to go to their old office and meet with the staff, talk with them. I had email communications. I was a beta tester. But in the end, they just didn't care. You know, this app just sort of fell apart. And now it's Twitter Live. They don't really care. I'm too small. Same with YouTube. I'm too small. Twitch. I don't really have a platform where I can have a conversation with the staff like I'm having now and know that you guys are listening. Now, I know people are complaining here and there, oh, there's this bug and that bug. Yeah, there's always bugs. But the feeling I get is that you guys are working on them. You know they're out there. You're trying to make it better. And I think a lot of the users really appreciate that. And I think that's what you offer the new broadcasters, is that you have the ability to talk to Happs and say, you know, my broadcast could be a lot better if you guys could do this. And they say, you know, we'll look into that. And I think people really like that engagement from the corporate headquarters.
That's great. Yeah, I think it's kind of baked in here, you know, since really day one. Mark and David have been active. I think Mark's been on as many broadcasts as a guest as I've been on, period. He's all over the place. Our CEO, Mark Goldman. And, you know, I think it's just part of our team culture now, is really just all about our community. And I think that's something that hopefully does make us different. Oh, Louise Poppy, you're back.
Sorry,
Louise is back.
I'm back. Sorry.
No,
My phone just went dead.
Oh no, so sorry about that.
We're
Can you
okay,
hear her,
but
Chantal? I can.
Can you hear me? I'm not
using
my mic. I'm not using my microphone now. I've got my battery pack in. So sorry.
No worries.
Broadcaster's nightmare. It happens
All
to
good.
the best of us.
It happens to everyone. Yeah, no worries. So we were just about to transition to some comments and questions from the audience here, but everyone's glad to see you're back. I see already from the comments. Welcome back.
Probably thought I'd fallen off my chair.
No, not at all. We were wondering if the rain got into your phone or something.
No, it's beautiful sunny now, so yeah.
That's good.
I'm just seeing all these messages. Sorry, everybody.
We were worried about you, but I just want to maybe ask another question or two while we're waiting for more from the audience. But I'm wondering really what you're most excited about. Louise, I guess we'll just toss it to you since you're back with us. But what are you most looking forward to in the coming weeks and months ahead here as a broadcaster, and as a tour guide? How is this factoring in?
So what I'm looking forward to is, I've always been so spontaneous. I've never scheduled a broadcast ever. Something like this is as much planning as I do, really. So I've never ever scheduled broadcasts, but I do have an idea, and I want to start doing, because of Happs, I want to start doing a scheduled broadcast once a week. More about that later. It'll be tourism focused or travel focused, and include the viewers as well. So, and it's a new idea, so hopefully that's going to work. Virtual tourism, I'm always plugging virtual tours and travel, and I work really hard on that because that's my background. I just love being out and about, so I'm inspired and encouraged by people to get out and do stuff. I'm loving the fact that on Happs I can also, it goes live on YouTube, which is a real bonus for me, and also Facebook Live, which I've never done before. So I was really only a Periscope girl. So I'm looking forward to extending myself a little bit more, and I feel really that this is the platform where I can do that. I couldn't have done it on any of the other platforms.
Great. Well said. Well said. Wondering, Chantal, if you have any plans in the coming weeks or months for broadcasting that we should be aware of.
Who was this question for me?
Yeah. So I'm wondering, Chantal, if you have any specific plans for, special broadcasts or coverage or experimenting.
Yeah. So so first of all, I will continue with Around the World with ChantalTV here on Happs once a week, just because of this whole inauguration and the new year and a slight little bug last week. I was like, okay, let's keep it calm. I come back with the show. So that continues, but I will also start with fashion interviews because it's Fashion Week. So experiment how that works with people from the fashion industry. If they are interested in the platform, yes or no. Is it better to go, because I can visit the showrooms at the moment, and part of the shows, is that interesting to show, or is it better to keep it online, because I'm kind of worried about the virus at the moment in the fashion industry. So yes, so that is kind of the plan to do to experiment and see if that works, yes or no. So you will see more fashion instead of only the travel.
Very cool. Looking forward to that. Andrew, how about yourself? Do you have any plans for new experiments there in DC?
Well, we're going to be working, we've discussed some of the upcoming updates. One of the things that the travel scopers have to deal with, of course, is image stabilization. And I know you guys are looking at that very heavily. And I know I go get my gimbal from my other house, and I'm going to start bringing that out so we can do a little bit smoother broadcasts. I think we might also start to experiment with a little bit more Q&A kind of stuff, like Chantal is doing in her Around the World series. Maybe I'll actually come out from behind the camera occasionally and talk to a few people.
Nice. That's great. I think we now have a few questions rolling in here. One from Jay Opera is, have you ever had a segment of yours picked up by an outlet such as BBC or CNN? Have any of you had that experience before?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that very question because yes, this morning. I'm in about, what time is it? 6 is 9. In about 3 hours, you'll see a segment I filmed with Fuji TV in Japan. And they picked up some of my broadcasts from the Washington, D.C. area and reached out to me. They're going to be broadcasting that on their news program at noon today. I think also the broadcast I mentioned about the pig, if you type Penguin 6 Guardian or Penguin 6 Boar, you'll find the Guardian newspaper picked up my video of me chasing pigs around Hong Kong. I didn't get compensated for any of those. I just took the branding. My name appears on all those segments, but I don't get any cash. And I've had a few others as well.
That's really cool. Very interesting. Chantal,
yeah, so I had similar experiences with that. Like, first of all, the attacks, like the BBC, they came along because they had actually a BBC reporter who was one of the first journalists to use Periscope. So he was very interested in Periscope. So he picks up a few of my streams. And then I also had for several newspapers in the UK with like the flooding, the snow, they request often to get your content, but I've never been paid for that. I also, the same as Andrew, I take the credit.
Credit is its own form of payment. That's true. How about you, Louise?
A coffee in this exact same cup. Actually, I was getting a coffee, and it was after we came out of lockdown. And I'm I did a Periscope stream, and it was my first coffee, and I'm going, oh, this is heaven. And 2 Japanese TV channels picked me up and contacted me and asked me if they could use my content, and also asked me to translate some of my words because they wanted to give an accurate description of what I was saying. Not what they were hearing was different from what I was saying. So it was, and of course, then my kids saw it on TV, and lots of people in Japan saw it on TV and messaged me. So it was fabulous.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
very fun. And it sounds windy there now. My goodness.
Oh, sorry. Is it? Yeah, the wind's up a little bit. So sorry.
No, yeah, not too distracting on my end, but yeah, I'm wondering, yeah, how the tourism industry is being impacted, Louise, specifically, and how you and your community of fellow tour guides are reacting. Are you training other folks on how to live stream, and is this becoming the norm now with virtual tourism?
Yeah, no, it's not. Most of the virtual tourism in New Zealand has gone like 360. It's all pre-recorded and it's on YouTube. There's not very many people like me going live. But tourism, international tourism is finished for now. Won't probably be another couple of years before we have people coming back seriously. But I can see it's all changing. I think tourism is really, really going to change in New Zealand. We're going to be offering a lot of upmarket, a lot of gourmet experiences. A lot of famous chefs have come back from overseas, and yeah, everything's changing. We've got the most fantastic hotels opening. The food. I think we're going to end up with we're going to appeal more to an upmarket market than the backpacker market. We've always had a lot of backpackers here from Europe and States and different places, but I think that might be coming to an end, and it'll be a little bit more expensive, probably a little bit more exclusive, yeah, which is good for me.
Certainly. Jay says, thanks everyone for those fascinating brushes with notoriety. You famous. Indeed. Any final questions from the audience, folks? Burning questions. Now is your final chance here before we wrap up in another minute or two. Maybe I'll just give everyone a final word here, at least for now, while we're waiting for any additional questions. Chantal, do you have any final remarks about recent broadcasts? Maybe you want to plug something coming up soon.
Thank you.
Yeah. What?
Plug. Sponsor all of us. You can become sponsors here on Happs. It's very easy. You can click on our profiles and there's a little sponsor button. You can click the amounts and we are very, very happy. That's my little plug. I hope that Happs is evolving in the speed as they are already going, because I really love it. In the most perfect world, what we never got at Periscope was series and lists where we could organize our streams so people could look it back. So I hope one day we will be able to do that on Happs, so that we can make nice playlists and you guys can replay our fantastic things. And and I just hope that Mr. Beast arrives one day on Happs, so that's we all gonna be super famous.
There you go.
And of course, Peter and Pablo, fantastic job. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it. Andrew, what's the final word?
I think as a guy who's developed apps and written code, I would re-emphasize one thing you said at the beginning. This is a beta app, okay? You guys have done a great job dealing with the unexpected fire hose of users coming over from Periscope. And I think as you guys start to get used to this app, understand it's a beta, all right? There's gonna be a day when every version of Happs is just gonna crash one day. All right, but they'll fix it in a couple hours, and they'll all
hopefully not.
They'll be yeah. You never know. There's no Pablo's in the back pulling his hair out. But understand it's a beta. These guys are doing what they can to make it better for you, and they're willing to listen. don't get hung up on the fact, oh, I don't like the position of the mute button, so I'm not going to use the app. Come on, it's going to get better. It's going to get stronger, more reliable. It's going to grow. And if you're here now, this is the chance to grow with it.
Thanks for that. Yeah, I appreciate it. We didn't pay him to say that, or Chantal, for the record. Louise, we'll send it to you for your final word.
Well, I support both what Chantal and Andrew said. Support your community. That's what it is. Follow everybody, support everybody, and just make a whole lot of new friends on here. And we'll just keep it going, and it'll be fantastic. And please don't complain. Just get on with it. Like, I'm sitting here now. Can you hear the rain?
Oh boy. Oh no. We'll get coming. Okay.
It might be time for me to make an exit. Look, it's just.
Oh yeah. Guys are starting to open up.
I said, you know what I said
for you. But that's it. Just support your community, support Happs, and just look after everybody.
Well said. Well said. Well, thank you so much, each and every one of you, for joining us here up on screen and in the comments here in the audience. We're really thrilled to have so many people joining in and watching. And we'll be doing these regular segments on Wednesdays, these broadcaster roundtables. So thank you, Chantal, Andrew, Louise. Thrilled and grateful to have your company here on screen today.
Thank you so much, Peter. And have a great day and a good night, Andrew and Louise. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Pablo. And thank you, audience. Thank you so much for watching.
Our pleasure.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Pablo,
We'll see you all again
taking
soon.
a bow.
I gotta get out of here.
Fantastic.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Yes. Good night, everyone. We will start the countdown. And yes, hope to see you here tomorrow.